What's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Bulls Latest. Your host, Matt Johnson here. I wanted to kick today's show off by talking about Bulls center Nikola Vucevic and an option that could be on the table for the Bulls if they're unable to finally find a trade suitor for this player who's in the final year of his deal, and that's a mid-season buyout. This is looking increasingly likely as it stands today because trade talks have hit a stalemate, and they've done so in a big way. You really don't hear any chatter at all in the last few weeks of the NBA offseason in terms of his name being linked to any teams of recent here. And I think the teams that were interested in him now have kind of moved past that and gone and looked at other options here. There's two ways to look at this if you're the Bulls. One area of this is that there's really no reason to buy out Vooch unless the Bulls are keen on granting him a favor by allowing him the opportunity to go sign with a playoff-bound team. And the other side of this is that a buyout allows the Bulls to kind of move past this, and if they're not so set on winning games early in the season to the midway point, they could allow him to kind of cut ties to this contract and go and play for a playoff contender that he's made it notable that he wants to go and play for. So he said at the end of this past season, he wants to play meaningful games. He wants to play playoff basketball. He's 34 years old, and he's probably not going to see much of that with Chicago. So it'll be interesting. It'll go against the Bulls' history if they do buy out his deal. That's not really the way the Bulls organization has done things historically. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on that as we move towards next season if Nikola Vucevic does not find a new home this offseason. So wanted to talk about that briefly. I wanted to spin and switch gears here and talk about Isaac Okoro. I haven't necessarily talked much about the player since he was traded from Cleveland to Chicago as a result of sending Lonzo Ball to Cleveland. But this is a guy I think the Bulls have the ability to unlock the best version of when it comes to plugging him into this lineup. Okoro was drafted by Cleveland to be a 3-and-D wing, and he's always been a stout defender. So he's definitely developed his outside shot to this point where he buried 38.3% of his triples over the last couple of seasons. So I think when you look at the Cavs, though, as they slowly climb the East, they were constantly looking to upgrade at small forward. Moving on from Cleveland now kind of cuts Okoro free from the 3-and-D shackles, so to speak, and thrusts him into this run-and-gun offense that Billy Donovan loves to run. And I think Okoro can put his entire skill set and athletic tools on display in this offense for the Bulls. I'm super excited to see that. I think he'll be a very intriguing option with Billy Donovan and what he can do with this player moving forward at just 24 years of age. I think he has the ability to become one of the Bulls' best, if not the best, on-ball defenders. And I think he kind of was put at the top of that list as soon as that trade went final, to be honest with you. So, he's proven to be a reliable three-point shooter. He'll get to show off all the other aspects to his game, being such a highly touted prospect coming out of college. And I think he'll be able to put everything on the table and on display in Chicago now. So wanted to talk a little bit about Isaac, give you guys an idea of what to expect from this player, and that he's really going to be able to unleash his abilities on the court with this Bulls team and play a bit more free than you saw in his time in Cleveland there. So wanted to talk about, and this was some news that is significant because it's pretty much changing the whole landscape of the broadcasting of the NBA moving forward. The NBA and NBC shared their official broadcast crew for next season. For the first time since 2002, NBC will officially serve as the primary broadcasting partner for the NBA. This is going to be new. I know I've never, remembered this to be something that we'd be watching the NBA on. I was very young in 2002 when this was last on NBC, so it'll be fun to kind of see this transition. The network flourished during the 90s, obviously, was the go-to spot to watch Michael Jordan and the Bulls dynasty. In this new group, you're going to have guys like Mike Tirico, Noah Eagle, and Terry Gannon. They've already been tagged as some of the play-by-play voices. You're going to have Reggie Miller, Grant Hill, and Jamal Crawford as game analysts as well. super exciting group of guys. It's going to be an awesome way to depict the NBA product there. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to have these guys join NBC and have the games broadcast to this level. Carmelo Anthony and Vince Carter will also join NBC as studio analysts as well. And those are two guys I know I'm going to be excited to watch as analysts in the studio. Hearing Carmelo and Vince Carter talk ball is always awesome. So, and when you look at some other notable names here, Maria Taylor, Ahmed Fareed, they're also going to serve as studio hosts. But the list doesn't stop there. You got Michael Grady, who is currently known for his work with the Minnesota Timberwolves. He's joined as the fourth play-by-play announcer. Brad Daugherty, the former number 1 overall pick. You got Derek Fisher. Brian Scalabrine, the former Chicago Bulls legend, is going to join this group along with Austin Rivers and Robbie Hummel there. These names will have a chance to work alongside the most legendary name in the game, and that's Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan announced that NBC he joined the network as a special contributor, quote unquote. So it's going to remain to be seen whether he's going to be on the sideline or in the studio. So that'll be fun to watch there. I'm excited to get to see Michael Jordan on a regular basis broadcast the NBA's product there. Anytime you have an opportunity to bring the GOAT in shows how strong that brand remains. The reunion between NBA and NBC will officially commence on opening night of the 2025-26 season on October 21st. So that's some exciting news there. And finally, I wanted to cap today's show off by talking about another player I've talked about since the jump of this show, and that's Jonathan Kaminga. We had some reports come out in recent hours in the last day here. Kaminga is, quote, in no rush to sign his latest contract offer from Golden State. The stalemate could drag deep into the offseason for this player. Again, it's a tricky situation for restricted free agents overall. We're seeing that firsthand with Josh Giddey. There's just not much salary cap for these teams to be able to spend on their restricted free agents. So Warriors GM Mike Dunleavy and the Warriors front office showed, quote, an extra level of motivation this week in combos with Kaminga's agent, Aaron Turner there. They delivered what they believe to be a fair offer to bring back Kaminga on a 5th season, despite the rocky 4-year partnership that has preceded it in Golden State for Jonathan Kaminga. It's been an ice-cold market for restricted free agents. Again, because of the lack of cap space around the league, I think the latest offer for Kaminga is somewhere around a qualifying offer for 1 year, $7.9 million. He has until October 1st to take that. We'll continue to watch. I don't think Kaminga, it's seeming with the Bulls' recent moves and kind of how they've articulated some of the stuff that they've done this offseason, are going to bring Jonathan Kaminga into Chicago. That was a player that I predicted would heavily be an option for Chicago. However, the Bulls are looking like they're kind of moving past that. So he'll have October 1st to take that qualifying offer. I anticipate he's going to go right up to that deadline. Nothing will happen anytime soon. But wanted to just kind of dot the I's and cross the T's on a Jonathan Kaminga situation there. As always, I want to thank you guys for joining me on another episode of Bulls Latest. If you have anything you want to see the Bulls do, if you have any thoughts on that NBA team on NBC this upcoming season, let me know. Do you feel optimistic about Isaac Okoro, and what do you want to see done with Vooch at this point? I know a lot of you guys throughout this entire show have expressed the want to trade Vooch and just move on from that. But I don't know. It's becoming increasingly likely that he's going to kind of stick around, and the buyout may be an option mid-season as we move into this next year. So, again, thanks for joining me, guys, and we will see you next time.